performance contracting matters. In Kenya, what we've done is that with time we have realized that what gets measured gets done, and therefore we have instituted, it is about now almost 20 years, what we call performance contracting management system, where there is an agreement between a supervisor and his subordinate on what the subordinate is supposed to do, when the service or the activity is supposed to be accomplished, and even at what cost. And it is cascaded like that. The president signs with the ministers signs with the principal secretary signs with the heads of department, parastatal heads, down to almost the last person. So that there is some coherence in government. There are some targets that we know are supposed to be met, and by so doing, we will ensure that also the resources that is always budgeted for is used efficiently, and it is targeted, and it is known where it went. If there are challenges that comes across during the implementation of the contract, it is known, and mitigating measures can be deployed immediately before it affects the delivery of service to the people. So really it is something that we've seen it working, and it is something that is worth emulating. We know that sometimes it's very difficult to reduce many social activities into numbers, but there are ways of doing that. There are measures that have been put in place. There are scientific ways of ensuring that even if it is a social function activity, there is a way it can be measured, and there is a way it can be delivered within some framework of time that has been put in place. Otherwise, we shall continue working together. As a country, we cherish and really happy with the good relations that we have with Uganda. It's home. Uganda and Kenya. We can't say there is anything that is totally different. It is home. We work to Uganda. They come across on foot, on bicycles, for the borders, and even we can fly any minute. And we are very happy with the relation that we have. More so issues, technical cooperation that we have, business cooperation that we have, and even at the side of the education sector, we have about 40 to 50,000 students in Uganda that are studying across in universities, and then we are saying that our relations with Uganda is in a perfect stage. We are also very excited to still work with you people in improving our systems in areas that require some improvement. I'm talking about having exchange programs, learning from you as a country, as a government, and also learning from us on areas that perhaps we have come up with, new areas that perhaps we have come up with, and also the new areas that you have deployed in your place. So we are ready, and we are committed, and under East African cooperation, I'm sure we are going to move forward together, not leaving anybody behind in all areas of development. So let me stop there and perhaps give you a chance to perhaps say something. Then we can request this team to excuse us so that we can discuss the real matters that brought us together this morning. Karibu.
Yeah. Good morning, Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service of the Republic of Kenya and your team. Good morning, everybody here. I'm called Lucy Nacho Vembonye. I am the Head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet of the Republic of Uganda, and I'm heading my team with me here. I will request that they introduce themselves so that you get to know the people I've moved with, and then I'll proceed on. Am I right?
Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service of Kenya and all your team. Good morning. My name is Deborah Katuram. I'm the Deputy Secretary, Head of Public Service and Deputy Secretary to Cabinet. Thank you.
Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service. Good morning. My name is Julius here. I am the Undersecretary of ICT National Guidance.
Chief of Staff, we are happy to be here and to find you with your team. My name is Ariaba Evans. I'm acting head of mission, Uganda High Commission to Kenya. We are happy to be home. Thank you.
Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, my name is Walter K. Acheronga. I'm a Principal Assistant Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat Office of the President, and I'm accompanying the Head of Public Service, Secretary to Cabinet.
Chief of Staff and your team, I'm Bernadette Mwesige Sempa. I'm a counselor at Uganda High Commission in Nairobi. I'm happy to meet you.
Thank you. I want to begin by thanking you, Mr. Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, for having accorded us this opportunity to meet you. We gave you a short notice, but you gave us a positive response. We are very grateful. And I'm very grateful for the members who have escorted me, because I also gave them a short notice, but they preferred to come with me and leave their work behind. So all of you here, I'm very grateful. The press, you are very much welcome to cover this meeting. We are here on a benchmarking visit. Kenya is our brother, and we have worked together on various things, and we continue to work together. What prompted this benchmarking visit was a meeting that we had for heads of public service for Commonwealth heads of Commonwealth states. I listened into a presentation by one of the staff people in Kenya, and I think that was the PS of public service. And she was making a presentation on performance management. I was so impressed that just next door to Uganda, there was such a system in place. And all along, since I was appointed the head of public service, I was seeing that there was something missing in our public service. And what was missing is an effective performance management system. It's not that we don't have one in Uganda, we have one, but it's not effective as that one of Kenya. As you've mentioned, that what gets measured gets done. Now in Uganda we have the system, but I think the measurement is lacking. So I actually called that lady and I said, can you please come and benchmark? And she accepted then, but because Kenya was going into elections, so we said we couldn't come, and we waited for the new government to come into place. And that's why I'm very happy that despite that you are new in government, you have a lot on your desk, you have a lot to put in place, but you have given us this chance. Thank you once again. Me, I am head of public service and secretary to cabinet. And you are chief of staff and head of public service. These roles are a bit different, but there is a lot to learn from each other. For example, what you are doing here as Chief of Staff in Kenya, in Uganda, is being done by the Principal Private Secretary of the President. This is the person who is in charge of the President's diary and itinerary. So prepares everything, whether private or official. So we are now learning that actually separating this is good, such that you have one who manages the private diary of the President, but you also have one who manages the official diary of the President, which you are doing. And this helps in the implementation part of it, because as head of public service, this gives you power. You become a very powerful man. That means you can summon any permanent secretary at leisure, any minister at leisure, and nobody will hesitate, because you are in touch with the President, and that means you are getting the directive straight from the President to the people that are below you, and that makes your work easier, which is not the case in Uganda. And therefore this means that all official business that the President must handle are handled very fast. Not the case of Uganda, where they are merged together, and therefore the PPS may compromise here and there and maybe get skewed on private matters and then leave official matters outstanding. So this is one leaf that we are going to borrow from here, and we take back to Uganda, of how these two offices can be separated but also be made more powerful. And when we look at the Public Service Commission, we did meet the Public Service Commission yesterday, Mr. Chief of Staff, and we are also very happy with what we saw there yesterday. We actually found out that the Public Service Commission of Kenya is very powerful. And what made it very powerful is the constitutional changes that were made in the year 2020. These 2010. And these constitutional changes did remove some powers from the President and gave them to the Commission. And this made the Commission very powerful. The Commission now is in charge of making sure that the public service of Kenya delivers effectively and efficiently, which we are lacking in Uganda. Because for us in Uganda, the Public Service Commission mostly concentrates on the recruitment, disciplining, promotions, and the kinds more HR oriented than on the performance management system. So we also borrowed the leaf from there, Mr. Chief of Staff, and we actually requested them that we should send our Public Service Commission members to come and benchmark from there, and they also gladly accepted to help us on that. Now, we have also come to learn about how Cabinet performs its work. How does the Secretariat helps to facilitate the Cabinet perform its work? As I told you, me, I'm also Secretary to Cabinet, and I must facilitate Cabinet using through the Cabinet Secretariat. And we find for us we have a lot of pending work, a lot of work going on. And for the few things that we have discussed together in the office, I find that here you have standing committees, and these committees help to make the work easy, because work is discussed within the subcommittees, and then what is taken to Cabinet is already sieved out. Therefore, it does not delay Cabinet decisions. Decisions are made faster because ministers have looked through this, have okayed them before they are presented to Cabinet, which we don't have in Uganda. And I see also that one is a leaf to borrow from here, so that if we go back, we can also start these subcommittees of Cabinet, and we make sure that work moves on and we are not bogged down in Cabinet. Then we also looked at the work of my work as the head of public service. I am supposed to coordinate the work of permanent secretaries, but also supervise them. And then I'm also supposed to make sure that Cabinet decisions are implemented. And then I'm supposed to provide a link between the executive and the public service. And then at the same time, I should also coordinate the service commissions. In Uganda, we have the Public Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission, the Education Service Commission, and the Health Service Commission. All these are supposed to be linked by my office. So when I come here, I learn, because you have told me you have performance agreements for the permanent secretaries. I think I call them principal secretaries. So you make sure that this permanent secretary is delivered. You have also told me that you have performance agreements for ministers. In Uganda, we don't have that. So I see that is something also that we need to borrow here and take home for the effective measurement of the performance of our ministers and our permanent secretaries. And I've actually requested that if you can get us some of these copies so that when we go home, we can copy a bit here and there and we see how we can also move on. And we know that Uganda and Kenya, they are sister countries. We almost have the same resources, but we can see you are leaving us behind, and yet you are saying leaving no one behind. You have already reached the middle income status. We are still lagging behind, and we don't want to lag behind. So we are purposely here to make sure you don't leave us behind, Mr. Chief. So don't tire to see us. Don't tire to hear our calls. Where we get stuck, we shall be calling you, and we get some advice here and there to make sure that Uganda is on the same footing with Kenya. I want to thank you. I don't want to take much time. Thank you very much for accepting us, and thank you very much for accepting us even in the future, and we shall keep coming. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Head of Public Service and Secretary of the Cabinet. Of course, we are not ahead. We are the same. we are moving together, and that is why we come learning from your side and you come learning on our side, meaning that we are working together to ensure that our sister countries move together, same pace, same direction. So I want also to thank you very much for choosing to come and benchmark with us. I know you had so many places, but you decided to say, let me try Kenya. And because of that, we are ready, and all the departments, all the offices that you may wish to visit to check and benchmark have been directed to host you, have been directed to share with you, and they have also been directed to help in ensuring that whatever information, whatever documents, whatever guidance that you may need, you are provided with. And we shall also plan to come and benchmark in Uganda. There are many areas that we see in Uganda is moving fast. Areas of administration, areas of even productive sectors like even agriculture, areas of manufacturing, the establishment of even economic zones, even in upcountry, rural areas, Kabega and the rest, and even in tourism, there's a lot to learn, and we are ready to share experiences and insights on how to close ranks and move our two countries together. And therefore we are ready to work together. We are ready to share. We are ready to learn, and we are ready also to share whatever we have that we see it as new, or we see it as an innovation on our side, and we expect also on your side you'll do the same. So I think we may request us to give us some few minutes for us to go down to work now. We want now to share, and therefore we can allow 2 or 3 questions if you have it. I'm sure we are fairly clear, nothing much, nothing complex. Yes, 2 or 3 questions, if you're okay.
this collaboration mean to citizens of Uganda and Kenya? What does the collaboration specifically mean to citizens in Uganda? Yeah.
The next question.
James from the Standard newspaper. Maybe if they are going to be assigning of partners, collaboration or what. And another thing is, will there be exchanges like Kenyan team going to Uganda and Ghana team coming to Kenya regularly? Thank you.
Any other? So, is the question directed to me or directed to Head of Public Service? Or both? So let me start. There will be a lot of benefits to the citizens of both countries because an efficient and effective public service would ensure that there is efficient and effective delivery of service to the people. So you will see a lot of improvements on how governments will handle matters public. You will see perhaps a transformation when it comes to customer service, in terms of delivery of service, in respective governments, in terms of handling matters that perhaps the citizens of both countries will from time to time ask from government. We will see a situation where there will be even more understanding between the citizens. You know, Kenya and Uganda are one. There is free movement. So they will not be getting surprises because whatever we do here as public service and civil service will be known to them because it will be the same. Whatever adjustments that we may do here, borrowing from best practices from Uganda, will enable Kenyan citizens also benefit from those new innovations from Uganda and vice versa. So I think it will be even more beneficial to the citizens, like more than anybody else. Whether there will be MOUs or not is a different matter altogether because we are working together. We have a lot of platforms, we have a lot of agreements. Go to EAC, if you read EAC protocols, there are a lot of documentation that clearly directs on how governments of East African community collaborate and operate. We may not need a new thing, perhaps only where the two governments wants to sit down and structure their relationship in a particular manner that is slightly outside the currently available protocols across. You see, governments and as they operate as it is, there are a lot of documentation that always are there. So at the level of bilateral, at the level of multilateral, we will see if at all there are gaps, then we shall sign. But if the instruments that we have between the two countries and East Africa, then there will not be any need for introducing new documentation. Yes.
Thank you. I just want to add on what Chief of Staff has said. The collaboration between Uganda and Kenya has always been there and will always be there. And there is no need for signing MOUs. If I may ask you a question, do you have an MOU with your brother? Does any one of you have an MOU with a brother or a sister? That's how Uganda and Kenya are. There is no need for MOU. Once we sit here and we agree on something, we don't need to sign anything because we are brothers and sisters. I thank you.
In the absence of any other question, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very grateful that you came to also help us to host our guests. So we thank you for your indulgence. for your presence here. Asanteni sana.
Thank you.